Welcome to Saloom Circle. I'm Angie Kate Walsh, and my co-host is Kate Robertson.
Hey, everybody.
Today, we have a very special guest and our very first guest on Saloom Circle. We have Karrie Sicely with us, who is the author of Parasites Inside Me. She has written this book as her personal journey dealing with parasites and conquering them. And she has a wealth of information for us today, not only the information, but also sharing what got her through her fight and how her faith saved her. And it's a massively inspiring story, as well as full of information that I feel everyone needs. So let me introduce Karrie. Karrie?
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're so excited to have you. Your health is so important. I mean, you will sacrifice everything to get it back. So why not maintain it when you have it? This is why we're doing all of this stuff.
Right. And, one of the other things, too, that I talked about in this book was the short phase of contemplating suicide. And for me, that is an important topic as well, because, we go through all these different emotions and you deal with all these different doctors and you don't really get to the root cause of what ails you that's causing the magnitude of your medical issues. I'm so grateful that I didn't have the courage to go through with what I wanted to go through. This is a bad and hard battle. And just like with your story, it's difficult to go through. You don't have to end it because you can win. Yes. You can beat it. And you just have to set your mind to it. There are so many people, so many different things we wanted in life, and you found a way to get it, right? You found a way, whether it was working more hours to get the money or whatever it was that you desired, you found a way to get it. And this journey is no different than that. You've got to find a way to go get it.
I know Kate, and I know myself, when we were in our darkest times, yes, I had contemplated suicide as well, because I was like, I don't know if I can do this or not. It was so dark that, I knew all of the stuff that they had me on. I had a pharmacy, literally, and I remember like telling my mom, I'm like, I can end it all with taking this and this. And my mom's a retired nurse, and she's like, no, that won't work. That won't work. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay, it will. But something that always stopped me, and that something was God in my faith. And it was like I would be like pulled so far down, and the only thing you can do is look up, is to pray and say, please help me through this, please. And Kate, I know you've had a similar circumstance you want to talk about.
I mean, yeah, you honestly, I call it coming to the end of yourself, basically. You have to come to the end of yourself and just finally, I can't do this. You gotta do something, because I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is beyond my power, basically. And I just completely surrendered. And exactly. I ended up bawling my eyes out for hours over days, hours at a time, and just releasing everything that I had held in for years. And I honestly believe that a lot of this, yeah, there's outside factors, but a lot of the severity, I truly honestly believe it stems from unresolved emotional energy that we're carrying with us.
Trapped emotion.
Yeah, trapped emotions and stress, when you have like immense stress in your life. So,
but the key factor here is that every single one of us turn things over to a higher power, to God. Yeah. And but you are put to that point, and you may do it several times, because You start worrying about stuff. You know, why am I worrying about this? I already turned it over to him. Like, why am I, you know, whomever your God is, you know, that I say the creator, that you turn it over to the creator. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It will be taken care of in divine timing. You're being taught patience. You're being, your faith grows stronger, and lose hope. Your soul is your anchor to hope. Hope.
And that doesn't mean that as you turn it over to God, that doesn't mean that you just sit idly and wait. It doesn't mean that you sit and do nothing. It means that you are relinquishing all of the stress, pressure, emotion, fear, anxiety, all of this over to your God. And then you still have to try to, you know, find these herbs that are work with you, do your holistic routes. If you don't have an allopathic doctor to help you, you still got to eat clean, drink clean, and take care of your body the best way that you can to try to help yourself, you know, and just listen for God's voice to talk to you and tell you, what do you do? What's the next step?
Yeah. Where do I go from here? Basically, you know, I honestly, I was on 55 different medications a day, including in-house treatments that I had to go every 2 weeks for one, and monthly for vitamin infusions on top of it. So, I mean, honestly, you got all these chemicals just pouring into you, that they're just this and that and the other, you know. And thankfully, like, I didn't get chemo. My doctor chose to go with experimental immunotherapy biologics, which is plant-based. So it's holistic in a sense. Smells terrible, tastes terrible, but, you know, I'll tell you what, it helped in its own way. But honestly, you know, I'm like, okay, I did every, you know, I would be like, okay, who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to put in charge of my care? Everything I had questions about, I asked God for that guidance. Like, what do I do next? And then when I started weaning off of the treatments and things like that, I said, okay, I kept feeling like, you need a detox, you need a detox, you need a detox, because you've got all this stuff in your system. And I'm like, how do I do that? Well, then, you know, I got led to this ancient Indian remedy, home remedy, you know what I mean, to detox. So I'm like, all right, so it's this tea that I drink that's been flushing my system out. You know what I'm saying? So he really will guide you. And you don't even really know. Like, I didn't know that's what it was, you know, that I was doing was detoxing. I just knew it was cleansing, you know what I mean? But then talking to people, then I'm like, oh, that's detoxing. Okay, so that makes sense. That's why he told me to do that. That's what I needed, you know, next. Yeah.
Yeah, I drink a lot of those teas too. And they have the detoxing teas. But yeah, I love my different variety of herbal teas and the detoxing teas.
I just do juicing. I'll do ginger root, lemon juice, cayenne pepper, like apple cider vinegar and cinnamon, and, you know, like honey. I'll do different, do little shots of those, you know, for the detoxing, plus, you know, baths and everything. That the one point I wanted to make about you girls, and all of us, and other people watching as well, when you turn things over, you're letting go of what's out of your control, so you can focus on what is in your control. And that takes all that away, all that crap stuff away, so that you're able to do the research, get the messages, pray and receive, you know, what you're needing. Because Kate, you received things about detoxing. Karrie had a dream before she up that it was parasites for sure. It was at 3 a.m. right, Karrie? It was, was showing you, God, I believe God was showing you what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
that when you turn it over, that's when you start receiving the information that you're needing that's going to help you on this journey.
Yeah.
So amazing. The other thing that you talked about, and I really want to touch on this because I feel, I don't know, I just feel this man was an angel of some sort with you that you worked with, Derek, and how you talk about everyone comes into your life, for a reason and a season. You want to talk about Derek?
Yeah, Derek he's a wonderful, wonderful person. And I took a manager's position working with Lennox in Chesapeake, Virginia with Derek. And Derek and I hit it right off from the minute I met him. He's just such a pure soul, and he's such a kind soul. And I had started with them November 1st, 2018. That was my first day. And by the end of November, boy, it was all I could do to breathe. And Derek prayed over me so many times at work because I would start to cry. I was so sick. My stomach was killing me. It hurt so bad. Just felt like somebody was stabbing me in the stomach. And he would pray over me. And he did this so many times while at work. And, I was having my problem with my relationship with God because, how could you let this happen to me? And Derek's constant discussions about the Bible and our Savior and his praying, he reignited that flame. So I really did need Derek in so many ways through that time, which is why God put me in that position, which I probably should have never even had that position in that industry, not the position, but the industry, because it was completely something new to me. HVAC was completely something new. And so me getting that position was a fluke anyway. To learn something that was going to be challenging, but I did learn it. But even more importantly, I got what I needed from Derek in relation to feeding my spirit messages that my soul needed.
Exactly. I think we can all think of people that have come into our lives at different times, to inspire, to lift us up. I would be out the few times that I would be out. I would, at my worst time, the 2015, strangers would stop to pray for me. And I mean, I feel that those people, like when someone gets on their knees in front of you, like in public, and they are praying for you, holding your hand, it's like that person it was laid on their heart to do that. Those little things help you along the way. It keeps you going because, you don't know those people. And sometimes you do. Like you knew Derek, you worked with him. But he was sent into your life to help you restore your faith so you can make it through this.
Yeah, he was definitely feeding my soul.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about, to touch on, is you mentioned about the moon. And this is how, like, when people are trying to not decide, but try to distinguish what's going on with them. You want to talk about the moon?
So, the cycle of the moon is a good test to know if you've got an overload of bacteria or parasites. So a week before the full moon arrives, if you are agitated for no apparent reason, and then going into the full moon, you don't feel good. You have a hard time sleeping. You might experience some pain, fatigue, dizziness, even more so than what would be outside the full moon cycle. The chances are you have some parasites. So pay attention to the cycle of the moon a week prior to the full moon, so that you can kind of just journal what's going on in your life. is there anything changing, or are you just calm and at peace? So that you can kind of use that as a gauge to know if there could be something going on inside that maybe you didn't know about.
That's right. Because the parasites cycle.
Yes.
And they have cycling things. Just like with Lyme disease, it cycles about every 3 to 4 weeks. So people, they experience massive flares around the full moon, but also the new moon as well.
Yep.
So, and that's one of the things that you know that you're getting better when you beat the moon. When
right.
you can moon, you know you're on your way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like a big thing. I beat the moon. Yeah. I mean, I love the everything, but like I got a while there, I was like, oh dang, the moon again. So Kate, do you have any questions or any things that you want to add? I feel like I've dominated this this
interview. I mean, oh goodness, now you put me on the spot. I just had a question in my head too, but so she was talking about the cycling and things like that, and you and I, when we talked last night, you spoke about how like your lymphocytes, your eosinophils, your different antibodies basically going to combat against these parasites and bacteria and everything else. And can you elaborate on that? Talk a little bit about how that works.
Yeah. So what happens when you have a parasitic infection, all elements of your white blood cells and even your red blood cells will be out of whack. Some will be high, some will be low. If your doctor orders the sedimentation rate, and that is at the rate of which your red blood cells drop. So if your sedimentation rate is high, which means they drop fast, then that means that you have parasites in your cell, your red blood cells, your lymphocytes, your neutrophils, your monocytes, and your eosinophils. They all work in tandem, doing different things when you have an infection. So your eosinophils will likely be high for about 6 weeks. After the 6 weeks, the parasites manipulate your immune system to where the eosinophils will drop back down into a normal range. And that is so that they can thrive undetected in your body once they manipulate your immune system. So that first 6-week period after infection, your eosinophils should be high. In other countries, if your eosinophils is higher than a 3, then that's indicative of a parasitic infection. Here in the United States, we change the number to 6, and then we say it's coming from a respiratory infection. So it depends on what studies you want to go by. Do you want to go by the people who are very well versed in parasitology, or do you want to go by Western medicine that is not very well versed at all in parasitology? I'm going with the guys overseas. So your eosinophils, like I said, for about 6 weeks, if they're really higher than a 3, that's indicative of a parasitic infection. And so just pay attention to your labs, even though your doctor may say, hey, everything came back in normal range. Always, always, always get a copy of all of your medical records when you go to the doctor. They are discarded after 7 years. So if you don't have a copy of them, in 7-year mark hits, they're gone forever and you won't get them. So always keep your medical records in your possession. But on top of that, you want to look at your own labs. You want to look at what is the optimal ranges. Know that for yourself because, like I said earlier, my albumin and my bun were both out of range. They were both, my kidney function was low and my liver function was low. But I was told that they were fine, even though I knew I was going into renal failure or was in renal failure. And then it ended up that I had fatty liver disease with an enlarged liver, with cysts and lesions and cysts on my kidney as well. And so save yourself that headache by making sure that you are learning how to read the normal ranges and what they are of all of your labs so that you can help yourself. If you put all of your trust into any man on this earth, shame on you. You have to take responsibility for your own health, and you have to take responsibility for the knowledge related to your own health. That's how I learned so much about parasites that I have, was because it is my responsibility to know what is taking place in my body and what I can do to change that. And so, people need to really exert some energy, invest some time, and learn about these things that, we should probably know anyway.
And honestly, it's so easy now to really look at your chart if you are online with my chart or whatnot. And right in my test results pages, as soon as I open my test, there's always a little link up at the top that I can just click that link and it'll tell me, what does this test mean? What do these results mean? It's so easy to learn what you're looking for and what you're looking at. You don't have to be a doctor to be able to read these results and to understand the tests that are being given. And there have been times in my own journey where, my bun, for instance, and that what's it, the NC2 or whatnot, well, they were off, and I was just kind of following the rates, and I was like, I pointed it out to my doctor. Is this something I need to be concerned with? Is this something that we need to look a little bit closer at and maybe get a better understanding of what's going on? Because they gave me, if you saw my diagnosis list, literally it's 2 pages worth of diagnoses of different random things, everything from chronic pain to lung cancer, So it's like, this is kind of crazy, but so a lot of the things, you can find that the symptoms for different things and correlations, maybe they're, they have a diagnosis for that, but maybe your test results or your labs or your scans that they're doing may show that it's actually something else or related to one of the other diagnoses that you have, So we absolutely have to be able to look at everything that we're going through and be on top of it in the best way that we can. And I just bravo for what you did, because you went even farther. I thought about doing stuff like that, but I'm, was like, oh, I was of the mind that, that's not right. You don't question, da, da, da. But granted, when it came down to it, I finally did. My inner warrior came out and was like, listen, you're going to listen to me. And that's what it takes sometimes,
Yeah.
We've been conditioned to believe certain things and go, you go to the doctor, you get a pill, it gets better. The one thing I wanted to make a couple notes on about when you guys were talking about the labs, something I learned with Lyme is that Lyme plays with your lab results. And if you're using different labs, each lab has their own scale. Mm-hmm. So tell you that these are off. Well, another lab will say, no, you're normal.
Right.
So make sure you're using the same lab when you're having your lab work done. And you'll be able to tell, like when you're on, like with Lyme, for instance, when you're on the treatment, Lyme, like they told me I needed my thyroid out because I had nodules on there. But God told me not to have that done. And I listened. And you know what? it got better when the Lyme got better. So I'm so thankful that I did not have my thyroid out. And, you know, I know a lot of other people like you, Karrie, but like there's other people that they've had things taken out that they're like, man, I wish I hadn't done that, because it was really the Lyme or the parasites that was doing this. So we're like, we're all three right now. We're like walking testimonies to like of what has happened and what to do, what not to do. Just like, you know, think.
If I could go back and redo, if I could know back then what I know now,
right.
I wouldn't have had to have any surgeries.
Nope. But going through all that you have and all that we have, that Kate has, that I have, that has given us more knowledge. That has made us more aware. So it's not all in vain. Everything that you went through, Kate's went through, it's not in vain. It's to inspire and educate others.
Yeah. So because if we can save, you know, other people from going through and down this journey, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, we've got to teach each other, help each other, and just kind of do the best we can do to get through it without any further difficulties.
I agree. All right. So, Karrie, today you have spoken your truth. Kate, you have spoken your truth. I have spoken my truth. I feel we've done a good job. Is there anything else that you want to say?
No, thank you for having me on. It's been fun. I wish you and Kate great success on your journey with podcasts. I hope you'll have a lot of fun, and maybe I'll come back another time.
Oh, we'd love to have you. Like,
okay.
After you do, because the other thing I wanted to bring up, you're having June. You're declaring, last year you did it, I believe you declared that June was Parasite Awareness Month.
Yep. So, human parasite awareness.
Human parasite. Yeah, that's true, because animals get treated better all around.
Yes. You know, isn't that funny that we have a Parasite Awareness Month for our animals, but we don't have one for the humans? Well, we do now because I made one in June.
But you know what? Even with like Lyme disease, animals are treated better than humans. They can get treatment, but the veterinarians, they're more knowledgeable about all that stuff. They get it. They understand it. You even had that experience with the veterinarian as well. Yeah. I recommend Karrie's book, Parasites Inside Me. Go to her website, parasitesinsideme.com. Then watch for her documentary that's going to be coming out in March sometime with Dr. Judy Mikovich and Dr. Brian Artmis, right?
Artis.
Why? You know what? I get him and Dr. Armin Sports. Their names are totally different, but the A's are like they out the Artmis, Dr. Brian Artmis. I apologize for messing up your name. The documentary is going to be phenomenal. And then Karrie, you're working on another book. Book two?
Yeah, book two. In this book, I'm going to share the studies that back up everything that I speak about, and take people more in depth into how we got to this point in American medicine. So we will be talking about John D. Rockefeller and the Flexner Report and many other players in this, to try to uncover how we got to this point, help people do some critical thinking skills, just to, we can't change it if we don't know the history, right? And so it's time to learn the history so that we can change it.
Absolutely.
And why we've all went through what we went through, so that we can work together with what each of us has encountered and went through and conquered. We're all conquerors. So that we can change things for the better, for the upcoming generations, for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and so on. We are the ones that are going to be making those changes and then passing the torches on to the next generation, which is our children, because they've went through it with us. So like for them to have that knowledge and to pass that on as well. You're leaving a legacy, Karrie. You're leaving a legacy.
As long as people learn how to help themselves, what the truth is, that's what my mission is, because the more people know, the further we can go in correcting the problems that we all face.
Exactly. Right. Well, Karrie, I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you.
And we will definitely have you back on, Karrie. This has been so informative and so enlightening. And I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time, guys. We'll see you around the bonfire.
Forget the marshmallows.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for joining us on Celeste's Circle with Karrie Sicely, author of Parasites Inside Me. Make sure you go to her website and get your copy of her book today and see her upcoming event and documentary. And join us next time on Celeste's Circle with Lisa Wheat, personal trainer. She'll be talking about health and beauty products. You can catch us right here on Celeste's Circle YouTube channel, or you can go to our podcast and listen if you prefer. Also, Celeste's Circle, available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, and more. So until next time, thanks for watching and listening. We'll catch you around the bonfire. Don't forget the marshmallows.